Once upon a time, in the city of Bini, there lived a young girl named Amanda who shone like a freshly minted coin. Her intelligence was sharper than a new razor blade, and her mother, Mrs. Ekene, loved her more than a farmer loves rain after a long dry season. Amanda, my child, I know the future holds a lot of greatness for you. You are such a smart young girl. You always make me proud with your results. If you continue this way, you will take me overseas, Mrs. Ekene said to her daughter, smiling so wide you could count all her teeth. Amanda's eyes sparkled like stars in the night sky. Mama, I promise to make you proud. I will always be a good girl and keep my head high. Come here, Mrs. Ekene said, and spread her arms open for Amanda to run into them. They hugged each other tight, like two pieces of cloth sewn together by the best tailor in town. Life was sweet for Amanda and her mother. They lived in a small house in a poor area, but their hearts were bigger than any mansion. Every morning, Amanda would wake up, greet her mother properly like a well-trained child, fetch water, sweep the compound, and then run to school with her books held high on her head like a trophy. That girl will go far, the neighbors would say, shaking their heads in wonder. She is not like these children of nowadays who only know phone and TikTok. Mrs. Ekene worked as a trader in Oba Market, selling fabrics and clothes. The work was hard, very hard, like trying to climb a palm tree with slippery hands. But she never complained. Every kobo she made, she saved for Amanda's future. Then one day, God decided to smile on them. Chai! The smile was so bright it could blind the person. Amanda, guess what? Mrs. Ekene asked her daughter, dancing around their small sitting room like a masquerade at a festival. Mama, I know everything about books, but one thing I don't know is how to guess. Amanda said to her mother, who was also her best friend. Mrs. Ekene laughed until her belly shook like jelly. Your mother just won a contract, a big contract to supply materials to the government. With this contract, we will leave this place and move to a bigger house. Not only that, I will make sure I see you through to the highest level in the university. Oh, I'm so happy, Mama. Finally, I'll be a rich woman when I grow up. I'll make sure to be the best graduating student in my university. Amanda said, tapping her chest like a gorilla. I trust you so much, my baby girl. Now, let's go to the kitchen and make ourselves something to eat. No, Mama, I'll make something for you to eat, Amanda said and ran into the kitchen like a bullet from a gun. The next few days were like living inside a dream. Mrs. Ekene had already rented a new house in GRA, the area where big people lived. The house had 3 bedrooms, a big sitting room, and even a generator that worked. Amanda packed her things, singing and dancing. She even sang in the bathroom, in the toilet, everywhere. Her voice filled the house like the smell of fresh bread from the bakery. Mama, can we buy a big television? Amanda asked. Yes, my daughter, we will buy television and fridge and washing machine. No more suffering for us. 1 week later, Mrs. Ekene woke up early in the morning. She wore her best Ankara dress, the one with gold and green colors that made her look like a queen. Amanda, I'm going to finalize the contract papers. By the time I come back, we will move to our new house. Don't let anybody enter this house while I'm gone. Stay inside and read your books. Yes, Mama, Amanda said, hugging her mother tight. Mrs. Ekene left the house at exactly 7 a.m. Amanda could not sit still. She was too excited. She cleaned the house, sang songs, and even practiced how she would greet their new neighbors. Good morning, I am Amanda. We just moved to this neighborhood. She practiced in front of their cracked mirror, smiling and waving. Time moved slowly, like a snail climbing a wall. 8 a.m. became 9 a.m. 9 a.m. became 10 a.m. Amanda's stomach was turning like a cement mixer. Something was wrong. She could feel it in her bones. At exactly 12 noon, someone knocked on the door. Knock, knock, knock. Amanda ran to the door, her heart jumping up and down like a happy grasshopper. "Mama!" she shouted, opening the door wide. But it was not Mama. A tall man stood there. He wore a police uniform and his face was as sad as a funeral. Behind him stood their neighbor, Mama Chidi, crying so much that her wrapper was soaked with tears. "Are you Amanda?" the policeman asked, his voice heavy like a bag of cement. "Yes, sir. Where is my mother? Is she coming?" The policeman looked at Mama Chidi. Mama Chidi looked at the ground. Nobody wanted to talk. The silence was so thick you could cut it with a knife. "My daughter," Mama Chidi finally said, her voice shaking like a leaf in the wind. "Your mother. There was an accident, a terrible, terrible accident on Benin-Lagos Road. The vehicle she was traveling in, it what?" Amanda asked, her voice becoming small like a mouse. "The vehicle had an accident. Your mother, she didn't survive." Gabam. Those words hit Amanda like a thunderbolt from an angry sky. Her legs became weak like overcooked spaghetti. She fell down, 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 and the world became dark. When Amanda woke up, she was lying on their old sofa. Mama Chidi was fanning her with a newspaper. The whole house was full of neighbors, crying and shaking their heads. "What kind of wicked world is this?" one woman said. "Just when things were about to be better for them." "The devil is a liar," another one shouted. But Amanda heard nothing. Her ears were closed like a locked door. Her mother was gone. Her best friend, her everything was gone. Just like that. Poof, like smoke in the air. The next few days moved like a bad dream. People came, people went. Food was cooked, prayers were said. But Amanda was like a statue. She didn't cry, she didn't talk, she just stared at the wall like someone who had seen a ghost. The worst part, the contract money never came. The government people said Mrs. Ekene had not signed the final papers before she died. The house in GRA, they gave it to someone else. All the dreams, all the plans vanished like morning mists. "What will happen to the girl?" people whispered. "She has nobody. Her father died when she was a baby, and her mother had no family." As people were asking this question, Mrs. Ifunaya appeared. She was Mrs. Ekene's distant cousin, the type of cousin who only remembered you existed when there was something to gain. She was a big woman with a voice loud like a megaphone and eyes sharp like a hawk hunting for food. "Don't worry," Mrs. Ifunaya announced to everyone at the funeral. "Amanda is family. I will take her to Lagos with me. She will live with me and my daughter Sonia. I will treat her like my own child." The neighbors clapped and praised her. "What a good woman. God will bless you." But if they had looked closely at Mrs. Ifunaya's eyes, they would have seen something else, something cold and wicked like a snake hiding in the grass. 3 months later, Amanda found herself in a small, cramped flat in Mushin, Lagos. The place was nothing like what Mrs. Ifunaya had described. The house was old and tired, like a sick person who needed rest. The paint was peeling off the walls like dry skin, and at night, rats would dance on the ceiling like they were performing in a circus. Mrs. Ifunanya and her daughter, Sonia, lived there. Sonia was 15 years old, just 2 years older than Amanda, but she acted like she was a queen and Amanda was her servant. Everything changed the moment they arrived in Lagos. Mrs. Ifunaya's sweet voice at the funeral had disappeared like sugar in hot water. Now her voice was harsh and bitter like unripe orange. "Amanda," she would shout every morning at 5 a.m. "Wake up! Fetch water! Sweep the house! Wash the plates!" Amanda would jump up from the thin mat on the floor where she slept and start working. Work, 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 from morning till night. She washed clothes by hand until her fingers became wrinkled like an old woman's. She scrubbed the toilet until her knees were bruised. She cooked food for Mrs. Ifunanya and Sonia, but had to eat the leftovers, sometimes just garri and salt. School? That was finished. Mrs. Ifunanya said there was no money for school fees. "But Mama said she saved money for my education," Amanda had protested in the first week. Slap! Mrs. Ifunanya's hand landed on her face like a thunderclap. "Who is your mama? Your mama is dead. I am your mama now, and if I say no school, then no school. Be grateful I'm even feeding you, you orphan." That word, orphan, it cut Amanda's heart like a sharp knife. From that day, she learned to keep her mouth shut and her head down. Sonia, on the other hand, lived like a princess in a palace. She woke up at 10 a.m., watched TV all day, and went out with friends in the evening. She went to a private school where the uniform alone cost more than what Amanda used to spend in a whole term. "Amanda, bring me water," Sonia would shout from the sofa. "Amanda, massage my feet. Amanda, go and buy me shawarma." And Amanda would run, like a slave. Because if she was too slow, Mrs. Ifunanya would beat her with anything she could find. Slippers, broom, hanger, anything. The other children in the compound felt sorry for Amanda. "That woman is treating that girl like a house help," they would whisper. But nobody could do anything. This was Lagos. Everybody minded their business. Month turned into a year. Amanda's bright eyes became dull, like old metal. Her skin, which used to glow like polished wood, was now covered with scars and bruises from beatings. She had changed from that smart, happy girl in Benin into a thin, scared shadow. But the human spirit is strong, very strong, like the trunk of an Iroko tree. Deep inside Amanda, something refused to die. Late at night, when everybody was sleeping, she would remember her mother's words. "Amanda, you will go far. You will be great." She would whisper to herself, "I will survive. I will survive." Then came the day that changed everything. It was a hot afternoon, the type of heat that made even lizards run for shade. Amanda was not feeling well. Her head was hot like boiling water, and her body was shaking like a leaf in a storm. She had woken up at 5 a.m. as usual and done all her chores, fetching water, sweeping, cooking. By afternoon, her body was screaming for rest. Mrs. Ifunanya had gone to the market. Sonia was in the sitting room watching her favorite Mexican telenovela. Amanda had just finished washing a mountain of clothes. Her hands were shaking so much that she could barely hold the bucket. She went to the sitting room and sat on the edge of the sofa, just for 1 minute. Just one small, tiny minute to catch her breath. Her eyes closed. Sleep grabbed her like a kidnapper grabs a victim. In her sleep, she dreamt of her mother. They were in their old house in Benin, cooking together and laughing. The dream was so sweet, so real. Tia! The slap that landed Amanda's face could have woken up a dead person. Amanda jumped up, her cheek burning like fire. Mrs. Ifunanya stood over her like a mountain, breathing fire like a dragon. "Why are you sleeping on my sofa? Don't you know what you're supposed to be doing? I'm just coming from the market and everywhere is still unkept. After, you will expect to eat, Abi?" Mama, I'm not feeling too well. I think I have a fever. I didn't know when I slept off, Amanda said, her voice shaking like a guilty person in front of a judge. Mama, I'm not feeling too well, Mrs. Ifunanya mimicked, shaking her body and making a face like a monkey. Will you stand up and clean up this place? You are not feeling too well, but you want to eat my food for free. Sonia, who had been watching the whole drama like it was entertainment, laughed like a hyena. She didn't say one word to defend Amanda, not one single word. Amanda stood up slowly. Her legs were shaking like they were about to break. She stumbled to the bathroom, leaning on the wall for support. She came out with a mop and bucket filled with soapy water. The water was so heavy, but she managed to drag it to the sitting room. She began to mop the floor, moving backwards slowly, carefully. Her vision was blurry like dirty glass. Everything was spinning, spinning, spinning. And then it happened. Amanda's leg hit the bucket. Time slowed down like in a movie. The bucket tipped over. Water poured out like a river breaking its banks. Splash, splash, splash. Sonia jumped up from the sofa screaming, "My remote! My remote!" Amanda looked down. The remote was lying on the floor, swimming in the soapy water like a fish. Amanda's heart stopped. She bent down quickly, picking up the remote and shaking it. Water poured out from the sides. "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry," she kept saying, like a broken record player. Just then, Mrs. Ifunanya walked into the sitting room. She saw the remote in Amanda's hand. She saw the water on the floor. Her eyes became red like a traffic light. Her nostrils flared like an angry bull. But she didn't shout. She didn't scream. She didn't even curse. She just walked over calmly, collected the remote from Amanda's shaking hands, and walked out of the sitting room. Amanda's mouth was hanging open in shock. Sonia was also surprised. Mrs. Ifunanya never stayed quiet when she was angry. Never. Her silence was scarier than her shouting. "You are finished," Sonia whispered with a wicked smile. "You are finished." Amanda quickly continued mopping, her hands shaking so much that the water was splashing everywhere. She was mopping faster and faster, trying to finish before Mrs. Ifunanya came back. Finish quick, her mind was screaming. Maybe if she finished fast, Mrs. Ifunanya would forgive her. She was mopping backwards when suddenly someone grabbed her arm from behind. Strong fingers dug into her skin like iron claws. Amanda turned. Mrs. Ifunanya stood there, holding a pot in her other hand. Steam was rising from the pot like smoke from a chimney. "Do you know how much that remote cost?" Mrs. Ifunanya's voice was quiet, too quiet, like the calm before a terrible storm. "Do you know how much that television cost? You want to spoil my foreign television." Before Amanda could answer, before she could beg, before she could even blink, Mrs. Ifunanya lifted the pot. "This will teach you to be more careful next time." And she poured. Hot, boiling water splashed on Amanda's arm. The pain was immediate and terrible, like fire, like acid, like every pain in the world combined into one. "Ah!" Amanda screamed could have broken glass. Her whole body jerked backward. The mopping stick fell from her hand with a loud clatter. She grabbed her arm, but as she moved, the hot water splashed upward onto her face. "Ah! Ah!" Amanda fell to the ground like a sack of rice. She was rolling on the floor, screaming, crying, her hands on her burning face. Mrs. Ifunanya stood over her, looking down with cold eyes. "Next time, you will be more careful." Then she turned and walked out of the sitting room like nothing had happened. Sonia just sat there, watching. She didn't even change the TV channel. The telenovela was still playing, the actors speaking Spanish, while Amanda writhed in agony on the floor. Amanda's screams became weaker and weaker. The pain was so much, her body went into shock. She lay there on the wet floor, tears mixing with the soapy water, her burnt skin already starting to blister like bubbles on boiling water. Nobody came to help her. Nobody. After what felt like hours but was only minutes, Amanda managed to crawl to the bathroom. Each movement was torture. She turned on the tap and put her burnt arm and face under the cold water. The relief was small, tiny, like using a teaspoon to put out a forest fire. She looked at her reflection in the cracked mirror above the sink. Her face, her beautiful face that her mother used to call my precious jewel, was burnt. Red, angry blisters covered her left cheek. Her arm looked even worse, with the skin peeling off in some places. Amanda cried. She cried for her mother. She cried for her old life. She cried for the dreams that had died. Her tears fell into the sink, mixing with the water and disappearing down the drain. That night, Amanda couldn't sleep. The pain was too much. Every time she closed her eyes, she could feel the hot water again, burning, burning, burning. In the darkness of the corridor where she slept on her thin mat, Amanda made a decision. She would not die here. She would not let Mrs. Ifunanya kill her spirit. Somehow, some way, she would survive. "Mama," she whispered into the darkness, "help me, please help me." The morning came too quickly. Amanda's face and arm were swollen like balloons. The blisters had popped during the night, leaving raw, painful wounds that oozed liquid. "Get up!" Mrs. Ifunanya's voice cut through the early morning like a knife. "Get up! You think because you got small burn you won't walk? Get up!" Amanda stood up slowly, every movement causing her pain. She looked at Mrs. Ifunanya with eyes that had seen too much suffering for a 13-year-old girl. "Go and fetch water from the well. The tap is not running this morning." "But Mama," Amanda started. "But what? You want me to heat another pot of water for you?" Amanda's blood froze in her veins. She quickly picked up the bucket and headed out the door, her burnt arm screaming in protest. At the well in the compound, the other tenants saw Amanda's face and gasped. "What happened to you?" they asked. Amanda said nothing. What could she say? Who would help her? This was Lagos. Everybody had their own problems. She fetched the water, crying silently with each pull of the rope. The bucket was heavy and her injured arm was weak. The rope burned her blistered skin, but she gritted her teeth and pulled. When she finally filled the big container at home, she was sweating and shaking. Mrs. Ifunanya looked at her with disgust. "You are so slow and useless. Look at you, sweating like a Christmas goat." That day, Amanda worked like a robot. Cook, clean, wash, sweep. Her body moved, but her mind was somewhere far away. She was planning, thinking, calculating. Days turned to weeks. The burns on Amanda's face and arm began to heal, but they left scars. Ugly, dark scars that would never go away. Every time Amanda looked in the mirror, she remembered that terrible day. But something else was growing inside Amanda. Something stronger than pain, stronger than fear. It was determination, the type of determination that makes mountains move and rivers change direction. She noticed things she had never paid attention to before. She noticed that Mrs. Ifunanya kept all her money in a black box under her bed. She noticed that every Wednesday, Mrs. Ifunanya went to visit her sister in Ikeja and didn't come back until late evening. She noticed that Sonia's school had visiting days when parents came to see their children. Amanda was no longer just surviving. She was observing, learning, planning. 2 months after the burning incident, opportunity came knocking like an unexpected visitor. It was a Wednesday morning. Mrs. Ifunanya was preparing to go to her sister's house. She was in a good mood because her sister had called to say she had some business proposal for her. Sonia, I'm going out. I'll be back by evening. Amanda will make lunch for you. Make sure she doesn't burn down my house with her stupidity. Yes, Mama, Sonia said, not looking up from her phone. Mrs. Ifunanya left, her big handbag swinging on her arm, her high heels clicking on the concrete like a countdown. Click, click, click. As soon as she was gone, Sonia stood up. Amanda, I'm going to my friend's house. Don't touch my things. She grabbed her bag and bounced out of the house like a kangaroo. Amanda was alone. For the first time in over a year, Amanda was completely alone in the house. She stood in the middle of the sitting room, her heart beating fast like a talking drum. This was it. This was her chance. She ran to Mrs. Ifunaya's room. Her hands were shaking as she knelt beside the bed and pulled out the black box. It was locked, but Amanda had watched Mrs. Ifunanya open it many times. The key was hidden inside an old shoe in the wardrobe. Amanda's heart was beating so loud she thought the neighbors could hear it. She opened the box. Inside was money, lots and lots of money, bundles of naira notes arranged neatly. But Amanda didn't want the money. She was looking for something else. And then she found it. Her mother's documents, Mrs. Ekene's national ID card, her bank papers, and most importantly, a letter. A letter from the government office about the contract. The letter said that although Mrs. Ekene had died, the contract money, 2 million naira, could still be claimed by her next of kin. Amanda's hands were shaking so much that the papers were rustling like leaves in the wind. Mrs. Ifunanya had known. She had known about the money all along. That was why she came to take Amanda. Not because she cared, not because of family love, but because she wanted to steal Amanda's inheritance. Rage, hot and fierce like the water that had burned her face, filled her chest. All this suffering, all this pain, all this wickedness, it was because of greed, pure wicked greed. Amanda heard footsteps outside. Her heart jumped into her throat. She quickly put everything back, locked the box, returned the key, and pushed the box under the bed. She ran out of the room just as the front door opened. It was just Mama Twain, the neighbor, passing by. Amanda's heart slowly climbed down from her throat back to her chest. But now, Amanda knew the truth. And the truth, as they say, will set you free. That night, Amanda lay on her mat in the corridor, but she was not sleeping. Her mind was working faster than a computer. She needed help, but who could help her? The police? She had no proof. Social welfare? Mrs. Ifunanya would deny everything. Then, Amanda remembered something. Before her mother died, she had mentioned her best friend, Sister Mary, a reverend sister who worked at St. Agnes Catholic Church in Benin. If anything happens to me, her mother had once said jokingly, go and find Sister Mary. She is like my own sister. Amanda had to find Sister Mary. But how? She had no money. She had no phone. She had nothing except determination. The next morning, while Amanda was sweeping the compound, she met Mama Chinedu, an elderly woman who lived upstairs. Mama Chinedu had always been kind to Amanda, sometimes giving her extra food when Mrs. Ifunanya wasn't looking. Amanda, my dear, Mama Chinedu called out. Come here. Amanda went to her, sweeping broom still in hand. My child, your face, what happened to you? For the first time in many months, Amanda opened her mouth and told her story. She told everything about her mother's death, about the inheritance, about the burning, about everything. The words poured out like water from a broken dam. Mama Chinedu's eyes filled with tears. That wicked woman, that child of Satan, God will fight for you. I have a phone. You can use it to call whoever you need to call. Hope. Sweet, beautiful hope bloomed in Amanda's chest like a flower in spring. Thank you, Ma. Thank you so much. But you have to be very careful, Mama Chinedu warned. That woman is dangerous, very dangerous. Finding Sister Mary's number was not easy, but after several calls to St. Agnes Church in Benin, Amanda finally got through. When she heard Sister Mary's voice on the phone, Amanda broke down crying. "Hello? Hello? Who is this?" Sister Mary's gentle voice came through the phone. "Amanda! Amanda, my God! I have been looking for you everywhere. Where are you? What happened? After your mother's funeral, you disappeared." Amanda told her everything, every painful detail. Sister Mary was crying on the phone. "That wicked woman. Don't worry, my child. I am coming to Lagos tomorrow. Tomorrow. Send me the address. I will come with the police. You will not spend one more night in that house of wickedness." The next day came like Salvation Day. Amanda had told Mama Chinedu everything, and the elderly woman had agreed to help. When Mrs. Infunaya went to the market in the afternoon, Mama Chinedu kept watch. At exactly 3 p.m., a car pulled up in front of the compound. Sister Mary stepped out along with 2 police officers and a woman from Social Welfare Department. The whole compound gathered. In Lagos, when police came to your area, everybody came out to see the drama. "Where is the girl?" one of the officers asked. "I am here, sir." Amanda stepped forward, her scarred face visible for everyone to see. The social welfare woman gasped. What happened to this child's face? Before Amanda could answer, Mrs. Infunaya came running from the market, her wrapper flying behind her like a flag. "What is going on here? Amanda, who are these people?" Sister Mary stepped forward. She was a small woman, but her presence was mighty like a lion. "I am Sister Mary from St. Agnes Church, Benin. I am here for Amanda Ekene, daughter of my late friend, Mrs. Ekene." Mrs. Ifunaya's face changed color like a chameleon. "Sister, Amanda is my family. I am taking care of her." "Taking care of her?" Sister Mary's voice was sharp like a sword. "Is this how you take care of a child? Look at her face. Look at her body. She looks like a skeleton." It was an accident," Mrs. Ifunaya stammered. "Accident?" One of the police officers stepped forward. "Madam, we are here because there are serious allegations against you. Child theft, inheritance theft, and attempted murder? Who said I didn't try to kill anybody?" Amanda's voice, small but clear, cut through the noise. "You poured hot water on my face and arm because I accidentally spilled water on the remote control." The crowd gasped. Whispers started flying like birds. So it's true. That woman is wicked, oh. I knew something was wrong. God will punish her. Mrs. Ifunaya tried to run, but the police officers caught her. They handcuffed her immediately. Sonia came running out of the house screaming, "Mama, Mama, what is happening?" The police searched the house and found the black box. They found all of Mrs. Ekene's documents, the contract letter, everything. The evidence was clear like afternoon sun. Mrs. Ifunaya had been stealing Amanda's inheritance while treating her worse than a slave. "You are under arrest for theft," the officer said, leading Mrs. Ifunaya to the police vehicle. The whole compound erupted in noise. People were shouting, some were clapping, others were crying. Justice, sweet justice, had finally arrived. As the police vehicle drove away with Mrs. Ifunaya inside, Sister Mary hugged Amanda tight. "It's over, my child. It's all over. You are safe now. You are coming home with me." Amanda cried. She cried and cried and cried. But this time they were tears of relief, tears of freedom, tears of joy. Mama Chinedu and the other neighbors who had been good to Amanda came to say goodbye. "God has vindicated you, my daughter," Mama Chinedu said. "This is your testimony." 6 months later, Amanda stood in front of a mirror, but this time she was in Sister Mary's house in Benin. The scars on her face and arm were still there, but they no longer made her feel ugly. They were proof that she had survived, proof that she was a warrior. The court had ruled in Amanda's favor. The 2 million naira from her mother's contract was released to her. Mrs. Ifunaya was sentenced to 5 years in prison for theft. Sonia was sent to live with her father's family. Sister Mary had enrolled Amanda in one of the best schools in Benin. Amanda was back in the classroom where she belonged. Her teacher said she was brilliant, sharp, and focused like a laser beam. Your mother would be so proud of you, Sister Mary often told her. Amanda started a foundation called Amanda's Hope to help other orphans who were suffering in silence. She spoke at schools, churches, and community centers, telling her story and encouraging other children to speak up when they were being beaten. Don't suffer in silence, she would say. Your voice is your power. Use it. One day, a journalist came to interview Amanda for a national newspaper. The journalist asked, "After everything you went through, aren't you bitter? Aren't you angry at life?" Amanda touched the scar on her face and smiled. It was a genuine smile that reached her eyes. These scars remind me of what I survived. They remind me that I am stronger than my circumstances. My mother always said I would go far. Well, I am going far, not despite my scars, but because of them. The story was published with the headline, "The Girl Who Turned Scars into Stars." Amanda's story spread across Nigeria like wildfire. People read it and cried. They read it and got inspired. They read it and learned. Letters poured in from all over the country. Children who were being beaten found courage to speak up. Families who were treating their relatives' children badly had a change of heart. The story was changing lives. And Amanda, she kept studying, kept growing, kept shining. Years later, Amanda graduated from the University of Lagos with first-class honors in law. She became a human rights lawyer, fighting for the rights of children who had no voice. At her graduation ceremony, Amanda gave a speech that made the whole auditorium weep. There was a girl who lost everything: her mother, her home, her dignity. She was burnt, beaten, and broken, but she refused to stay broken. Today, I stand before you not as a victim, but as a victor. My scars are not my shame, they are my strength. To every child suffering out there, I say this: hold on, your story is not over. The last chapter has not been written, and when you overcome, your testimony will set others free. The applause was deafening. Sister Mary, sitting in the front row, cried tears of joy. "Ekene," she whispered, looking up at heaven. "Your daughter has made you proud. Just like you said, she went far, very far indeed." And somewhere in heaven, Mrs. Ekene smiled down at her baby girl, her precious Amanda, who had turned her pain into purpose, her scars into stars, and her test into testimony. The moral lessons of these stories. Greed destroys. Mrs. Ifunanya's greed made beating an innocent child, and it landed her in prison. Speak up against beating. Mama Chinedu helped Amanda because Amanda finally opened up. Suffering in silence only makes things worse. God's time is the best. Amanda's deliverance came at the right time when she needed it most. Your scars don't define you. Amanda's physical scars didn't stop her from becoming great. What matters is your spirit. Kindness matters. Mama Chinedu's small act of kindness, giving Amanda her phone, changed everything. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more interesting stories. Bye. See you on next story.